Hello, FewCandy here, and welcome back to Philadelphia. I have recovered from COVID, so we're back. And before we start today, there's a few little things that we do need to address, and the first of that is schooling. So if we look at our elementary school, we're almost at capacity, and our high school as well, almost there. So definitely time for some classroom upgrades. So we'll add the classroom upgrade to the elementary school, just like that. And that has given us a bit more, but we're kind of getting shy on that. So I think, well, the plan for today is to start building out over in this direction. We're going to want to have another elementary school in, I believe, because, yeah, we can't really get any more classroom capacity on that one. And then on the high school, let's go ahead and add in a little classroom upgrade. And we obviously left this big space at the back here for our upgrades. So I'm thinking, let's go ahead and add this quite nicely here. Obviously the surfaces all line up together, which works nicely. We could definitely do something with this space. But I'm thinking out the back here, I almost feel like the back of this looks like a bit of a gymnasium. So I think we should go ahead and add in some tennis courts. So I'm going to use the ones from extra detailing tools rather than the actual park because, yeah, we've got hedges round. I want it to feel like a school campus. I don't want people coming in from outside. So I think what we're going to do is add in two of these nicely side by side. And thankfully we're on flat ground here, so that makes it a little bit easier. So yeah, those going nicely there. They're very, very orange. So I have actually added the recolor mod, so you can see that here. I'm not aware of a way that we can actually change the tennis courts though, like with the buildings, obviously it comes up here. So someone let me know if there is a way to do that. I'm very curious. But otherwise, they're going to stay as orange for now. So let's go ahead and definitely add in a fence around the outside. And we'll leave a little gap in this space here for people to come in and out of the courts. I think that would be a nice thing to do. Let's also just make this a little bit more interesting. So something along those lines, where it kind of leaves a smaller entrance, less of a hole for the balls to escape from, that kind of thing. We obviously want tennis nets. We've also got these tennis benches as well, which I, really, really like. I think this would be pretty good to add. So let's add in a few of these, definitely around the side. Obviously, this being a school sports field, I feel like places for pupils to sit would be quite appropriate. So with the asset variation changer mod, you can find the options in here and you can enable or disable it at any time. So I actually like to disable it when I'm plopping houses, just so we get a little bit more variation. But obviously for something like this, I want to make sure they're all coming in the same, otherwise it's going to look a little bit wonky, let's say that. So let's go ahead and add in another 4 over this side as well, just so that's nicely symmetrical. And then we'll get a little umpire chair. That kind of helps to decorate up that area. So I'm thinking with this surface as well, let's bring up a little entranceway out here. So I'm thinking we'll bring that up something like that. And then we can do a little bit more decoration around it a little bit later on. Perhaps we have an outdoor gym or an outdoor learning area just on the side of it here, just to fill that out. And again, this could be benches for lunch or that sort of thing. So we'll come back to that. So that's going to do that nicely for the moment. If we have a look at capacity, we're still actually, even with the extension, kind of getting close. So let's maybe add in another one. And I don't really want this to necessarily be the same formation. So let's turn off snapping for this and see if we can place it in this way. Yeah, I didn't think that was going to like it. Annoyingly, it needs some roads or something like that. So let's just relocate that. And what we could do is add in a small pedestrian street up the back here using the new road builder mod. So finally, I have a chance to give you an episode with this in. I was planning on doing one last week because I did have early access, but unfortunately COVID struck me down, so that wasn't possible. So yeah, let's add in, let's snap to angle here so we get this nice 90 degrees. We can follow it on a little bit more. Add in a little pedestrian road like this. Now with Road Builder, what we can do is not only create new roads, but we can also actually modify this one a little bit. So I think with this, we're actually going to remove the shoulders, which is going to make it that little bit narrower. And then we're also actually going to remove the tiled pedestrian sections like that. So there's still car access. And then it is actually a car-only pedestrian road. I'm wondering, if we have pedestrians on it and we remove the car access, is the building going to complain? And apparently it's not. So this is now officially a pedestrian-only street. So here what we can do is rename this and let's say Small Ped Only Street. And then I'm thinking here, we'll just extend these surfaces out so it's more joined up. And we could also add in some invisible pathways in here, so we could potentially connect into that node and come around to here. Okay, so we won't connect you up, that's fine. We'll leave it like that so people can still walk in between there. We've got this extra building in. A little bit more detailing to do around it, which we'll come back to a little bit later on, but that should be much better. I mean, it's still pretty close, isn't it? Pretty sure we put our service budget for education up to 100. Yeah, I don't really want to raise it more than that for the moment, but yeah, that should be okay. Let's see how our elementary's doing, and that is almost full already, so definitely want a new elementary school in today. But before we come on to that, I do want to do one more little thing with a road builder mod, which is add in bus lanes along this street. So what I do want is I still want 2 rows of traffic for cars, but dedicated bus lanes. So these stops and stuff will just be on the bus lane as opposed to them kind of pulling off the main road. So let's do it. Let's come into this road here, and this is going to ruin all of our traffic markings on some of our intersections. So we're going to just add in a simple bus lane on either side of the street like that. So we've got 2 rows of cars, 1 bus. We could even go like a little step further and maybe have a median. I thought that might be quite nice. But I think that's probably going to make our road a little bit too wide, because already you can see things like this hedge, that's already in there. So let's go to this sidewalk. What we're going to do is we're going to make it as narrow as we can. We're going to make it 3.5, which turns off parking automatically, and do the same thing the other side. And now all of a sudden you'll see that hedge, that fence, is much more in line with the edge of the road. So this is what we want. We're going to call it a 4-lane road with extra bus lanes. I'm actually going to lower the speed of it to that 40 kilometers an hour. And then if we come into created roads, you can see we can find that here. So let's click on that, and then let's go ahead and upgrade the rest of this street to it. So things are going to be a little bit weird like that. So we probably want to turn off snap to existing geometry, and then we can get it in a little bit more fluidly. You can see it's only just a tiny bit wider than the existing road that was already in there. So not too much of a problem to go ahead and upgrade this entire street. So now, because we don't have any bus stops along this street, even though the buses are running up there, I think we're going to end the bus lines there. If we do continue them this way, then of course we'll incorporate them there, but I think there's no stops along here. I don't think it's needed. The traffic isn't too heavy. The buses just could kind of merge with everyone else. What we do want to do though is come in with traffic mod again and sort out a lot of these intersections, because all of those markings have changed a little bit. So we'll definitely want to do that. I'm thinking, do we want to also incorporate some bus lanes coming out of the bus station here? I don't think that's too necessary. The traffic isn't too bad at the moment, so I think we'll leave it like that. There we go, we've got our first little custom road in here. We do have someone complaining of not any street access, so let's just move them over a tiny bit. There we go. They're happy now, and they're not encroaching on the fence, so it's all good. Now we're going to be using Road Builder mod again in just a second, because what I do want to do with this train line is actually bring this down. We're going to have it curve off in this direction for future expansion development this way, but I'm also going to have it come in to kind of an end station stop over here. And this is going to be a custom train station, because one thing that Road Builder mod does really nicely now is the ability to add platforms to our custom stations, which is the reason why I never really used it before, because I hate not having a proper raised platform on a station. So there we go. So let's continue this on out straight. We have got a slight bump in the hill, so I'm thinking actually what we will do is just flatten this out just a tiny bit. We'll reform that back around the tracks in just a second. I think we'll bring it out straight a little bit further to like there. And then what I'm going to do is bend this one round this way. We're going to come around like that, and then we're going to start going up to get over this road here. Well, that seems fine to me, so that's okay. So we do then just want to slope this a little bit more so it's not quite as severe, but it's a very minor slope as it is anyway. So like that would be good, and then that train's track can go off in that direction. And then from here, what we do also want to do is bring out another one going this way. I'm going to keep it nicely raised up just for a second, and we're going to bring it down into a platform on the ground over here. So let's revert to our double train track station. And yeah, I think we'll do it here. So let's make sure it's long enough for an actual station track like that. And then we can go back to our normal tracks and connect these in. So that's 3.6. I know trains don't really go over 3, but we're playing with what we've got. That might be less than 3 now anyway. So this will come down on into our station over here. And let's clear out the trees across this whole area for starters, because we're going to want to see what we're doing. We're going to be doing quite a bit of development in this space. Maybe not all of it today, but definitely the beachfront, the main beachfront area. And then we'll look at what we're going to do up onto the hillsides another time. But there we go. So now for this train station track piece here, let's click on this. What we can do now is add in a platform on either side, which is bloomin' marvellous. And what I am also going to do is actually remove the catenary elements to it, the little shoulders, just so that's nice and snug in against the actual train track here. So you can choose flat if you want to, or you can choose raised. I like the raised one, obviously. It makes it look like an actual station. So we're going to do it exactly like that. And then we can build in a custom station around that. So I'm super excited to come onto that. But wow, Builder Mod, TDW, absolute genius. Thank you so much for making that for us, sharing it in early access as well. What an absolutely amazing, super flexible mod. And I think that goes to show as well with Cities Skylines II that yes, mods are making it a better game, but the way the devs have built the game allow the modders to be super creative with it. And I think that's the key thing really for us all to remember. Like, we were not able to make that or do that in Cities 1, so I think we should be grateful for that. So now I'm trying to get this road underneath our train track. Maybe if we turn off Anarchy, we might get a better result from it. Nope. Even with Anarchy turned off, we're going straight through a train wall. And I don't think this, for some reason, will upgrade to being a bridge. No, it won't. So that's a little bit problematic. Let's actually remove the train track and then see if we can redraw that in over the top. And that's not too bad. Let's delete this other end of the road though, because it's not coming out nicely. Yeah, I think that's all right. The other thing we can do with better Bulldozer as well is now, instead of, is this pillar actually sticking? Oh, it's actually not. Okay. If that was sticking through the train track, we could have just come in and deleted it now, which is fantastic. These mods are unbelievable. Unbelievable. That gives us a bit of a collector coming down towards our beachfront. So I think what I'll do now is go ahead and get in a bit of a road network into here so that we can start actually building it out. Okay, so we kind of got a very loose, very rough, very higgledy-piggledy grid style formation going on here. I'm quite happy to have level crossings here. We're just coming into an end station. It's not going to be super busy. I'm kind of seeing this part of town as a little bit of a sort of entertainment, young people's beach hangout type town. So I want to make it a little bit dirty, a little bit rougher. Some nicer housing going up into the hillside, but definitely like the main beachfront, kind of very trendy is what I was thinking. Now this road along here, it sort of looks bad from a distance, but it's not too bad. There's some little bumps that I need to iron out a little bit there, but we come into this really nice truss bridge, and then this is going to dig into the landscape as it kind of waves its way up and round and over down towards the edge of this lake is my idea for this. There isn't going to be any development along it. It's just going to be one of those kind of very hairy waterside cliff roads as an alternative to our highway that's going to run here, and also some of the collectors, the local roads that will run around this side as well. So for those daredevils amongst us, this will be the exciting road to take around the waterfront, but we'll continue that on another time. But yeah, what I wanted to do is get some nice layers in up the hillside, so we'll definitely get some development in up here. Some slightly nicer looking housing, as I mentioned, but nothing too fancy. Like up here, they're going to actually have probably one of the best views of the downtown, because all of this is going to be really built up along the waterfront out here. Going to have a massive bridge spanning over onto this peninsula over this side as well. So I think it's going to be a pretty good view up from up here, even over to Few Haven as well in the background. So I definitely think some nicer real estate up here, even if the town centre down by the beach is going to be a little bit more run down. So what I would like to do for here as well is also create a bit of a pedestrian waterfront. Now I could do this with Builder Mod, but I've kind of found the joins aren't exactly as I would like them to be. So I am actually going to come in. We're going to use the road that we created, the small pedestrian only road, just so it's not too thick and doesn't eat into our beachfront too much. And we're going to basically just follow this road along. Like that. Then we can go back to straight roads, and yeah, what we will do, turn snapping back on and create some smaller intersections into our actual main road network here too. And what I would also like to do is bring in a bit of a car park down this end, so we're going to use an alley road for this. And I'm going to, in fact, actually we'll upgrade this very small section to the alleyway here so that cars can come along here. And we're going to create a little bit of a car park with a beachfront cafe along this side is what I'm thinking. So yeah, some of these nodes are a bit dodgy, so we just need to use a little bit of Move It just to adjust these. I think we will leave a grass border. It's going to make it easier on our nodes as well. So let's go ahead and do that, and then we can add some trees or some nice decorations into there as well. I do just want to raise this up a tiny bit because that road is actually very slightly higher than this one. So we want to make sure it's kind of nice and flat, I think, up against the road. But that'll give us a nice pedestrian frontage to our beach area there. And then let's come back to this alleyway road now that we've fixed that. We should be able to get this in nicely alongside our retaining wall road here. And then yeah, we'll have a big car park in here for the beach, a beachfront diner, obviously all of the beach up here, and then we're coming out to a little viewpoint I think up this end. So I think I'm going to create some pathways around this peninsula so it can act as a park area or a viewpoint. I'm not going to build on this. I think it's a nice natural boundary between what will be quite an industrial looking harbour over here, obviously not for cargo, just for passengers, and then this sort of slightly more secluded but very vibrant big nightlife beachfront that we're going to have. So let's go ahead and get in our beach surfaces. Okay, so we have that in, and I did decide actually to use Road Builder mod again, just to give ourselves a nice little grass median and make this road a tiny bit wider than it already was. So yeah, I'm liking how that looks along the waterfront now. The edges all look a little bit weird. Obviously they'll look better once we get some foliage in, but hopefully they're sort of blended out reasonably okay. I think we'll probably add some more of the patchy sand in underneath some of the trees around the edges as well, just to give a little bit more depth and variation to it. But love the surf splash effect here as well. Feeling quite nice. I'm feeling quite nice as a little snug little sandy bay in next to Few Havens. We'll have a few of these obviously around Philadelphia as well. But this is our first one. So let's now talk about what we're going to do along the waterfront. And I want to actually get into some proper fusing. And this is really the first time we've really done this in Cities Skylines 2. So I'm super excited for it. What I do want to do is firstly use some row housing and fuse in some commercial into the bottom of it, because I think this will give a much nicer kind of commercial waterfront effect. We definitely want bars and things like that in here, but I want it to have a little bit more height, but not as big as the high density commercial assets. So let's actually filter on North American, because that's definitely more the style that I want to have here. And I'm thinking depth wise, probably don't want more than 3 in order to fit them in here. So something like this could probably work well. What I'm looking for is like the upper floors. Are they going to look okay with commercial fused into the front of it? So something like that is pretty good. So what we can do is start like drawing out a few little rows of these. So I want to leave a gap on the corner, and it's going to take some fiddling, I think, to get this all in how we want to. Could use some wider blocks potentially here and better bulldoze some of the stuff off the back. This is where I do want a little bit of asset variation mod coming into play here as well. So we could even fuse these together like that actually, which makes more of a one continuous sort of variation. Some of the air conditioning blocks don't look that good, so let's go into a better bulldozer. We'll remove a couple of those, I think, off the front. That starts to look a little bit better. And then what we'll want to do is actually use move out. I'll probably put these a little bit too close to the road. So let's grab all of these assets. We'll just shift them back a tiny bit, making sure they're still connected. Then we're going to come into low density commercial and find something that is going to fit nicely fused into these buildings. So something like this is kind of cool because we could get some of that nice detailed pipe work on the side of it. It's got some benches out the front. Got the signage above the windows as well, which I think all adds quite a nice effect. So that could potentially work. Something like this isn't too bad as well, nicely low. It doesn't block any of those windows. We'll worry about the back end of it in just a second. We'll want to better bulldoze off some trees and that sort of thing, but that'll work. And the reason why I'm doing this rather than using the storefronts is actually because this is then going to be functional commercial. So we're still going to eat into some of that commercial demand by putting these in. So I don't mind that, and then we can have a little alleyway up the side of it. Let's just check what's going on out the back. Yeah, we definitely need some better bulldozing there to sort that all out, but we'll come on to that. But this is the general kind of idea of what I do want to do here. So we want to find the right assets, mainly the ones that don't have parking out the front and that sort of thing, to be able to fuse in. These ones with pitched roofs, again, aren't super suitable for that. I think we could potentially use this one. Let's angle it off this way. I've just realised we set the lot depth as well, which probably isn't going to help. We obviously don't want the gas stations in here. No, but yeah, this one would be perfect actually. I'm wondering if we can fit this on the corner quite nicely with that fenced in wall at the back and make use of the props that are already on the asset there. So we do have then the pillars sticking out. It's not blocking the road, so I'm okay with that, but it's sticking out into the pavement. Again, I'll Sims will walk through it. But it's actually not the end of the world there, because I think that's quite a nice effect on the pavement. I think we're going to switch out this one, so let's remove that. We could kind of make that alleyway form a back alley for both commercial units with a bit of detailing out the back there as well. Got a nice gap in here which we could potentially put some cafe tables, that sort of thing, around outside those benches, so I think that'll work nicely. So I think here we're probably going to want something a little bit bigger than what we did have, so something like this could potentially work. Let's take a look at some of the EU blocks. Now the EU ones don't have the fire escape, so they're going to work a little bit nicer for fusing in like this. So we could have something like this one fused into this building, which also has a nice bit of colour, which I think would be nice for our beachfront too. Definitely some better bulldozer work to be done in there. That's not a problem at all. We do have recolor mod now as well, so we can have a play around with that and see what we can do in that space too. Then we'll come back to row housing, I think, out the back here. So we have got, that's quite a nice back, I think, so we can keep that for that commercial. And then start to form a kind of new street here. Probably keeping in mind we don't really want to go over a depth of 3, I wouldn't have thought. Let's turn off snapping for road from this, because what we can do here is kind of shape these quite nicely. Let's go down to a 2 on the end here, around this bend. So just have them staggered back from each other just a little bit. Sometimes it's really hard to see from the shadows, but yeah, we can do a bit of detailing in the back here, for sure. That creates quite a nice little row of row houses here. We've got a nice back to these shops, obviously, with a bit of better bulldozer to sort that out. This one looks okay on the end. So you can kind of start to see what we're trying to do here. Of course we could go for the mixed use, but I like the effect that this provides, so that's why I think we're gonna go with this. Okay, so yeah, we've got a few different combinations in here. It's interesting. Like, I really like how this is going to turn out, or how I'm envisaging in my mind at least it's going to turn out. So we've got this little back alley in here. Obviously, once we've better bulldozed off a lot of this, we can have a few little car parking spaces back here. A little bit of trash, a little bit of graffiti, make it look like a proper little backyard, and also pedestrian access in from this side as well. Obviously, we're going to remove the trees and the random bushes and things like that. I think all in all, it's kind of starting to look quite nice once we get a little bit more of this in. And then things like these buildings, we can obviously just fence them off. They can have backyards out here. We've got a pedestrian alley to put in down that side. These all feel quite nice and consistent up here. It's, I think it's going to turn out all right. But we obviously need an absolute ton of detailing around that. I have also thrown in a gas station here, but I hate the fact that it's red. So here we are going to use the recolor mod to change this. So I'm thinking maybe yellow actually. Quite like a yellow gas station. So if we'll go for something pretty bright, something like that. Yeah, which I think will look pretty good. I don't really mind the other sort of pinky colours, that's alright. Maybe make it a touch darker, maybe a little bit greyer actually even. Yeah, almost something like that. Yeah, quite pleased with that, and we'll leave the white as the trim on that. But yeah, that feels a little bit better to me. Nice gas station on the corner. We can obviously add in a sign, a little bit of detailing around it, but I think that's going to be fun. So absolutely tons to do on this. This is going to be quite a small build episode because I really want to detail this up pretty heavy. We will come in and add in some more row housing and some condos kind of mixed in these back streets up here. But I do want to make sure as well, like I said, that we're getting space for a new school. So we are going to add in a small elementary school, and I'm kind of thinking potentially in this space here, because then we can add in a football grounds and that sort of thing to it. So we'll add that in for the moment. I'm not going to extend it. We've already got 42 students. Wow, that was quick. I'm not going to extend it for the moment, but we're going to come back in and design it in a sports field when we come to do the detailing in a second as well. But I do just want to come back to sort of the main part of the build here today, which is this beachfront. I did find this commercial asset, this little EU commercial asset, which I thought would sit in pretty nicely as a kind of cafe or something along those lines. So I think we are going to have this in here. I do think the orientation of it is a little bit off though. So let's just turn it round. And obviously it's not going to like it for a second, but we will add in road access for it. So I'm going to turn it in round like that. Now you see, obviously we'll get rid of this fence here, but then it's got these larger windows on this side, which I feel like would be pretty nice to make a kind of cafe decking with some tables and that sort of thing around it. So that's what we'll do there. Let's give it a little bit of road access, just nice and simply like that. And then we're going to have a big car park in this side. Now I'm wondering, we could just use the vanilla default car park for this, to be honest. I don't think it needs to be anything really more simple than that. We are going up the hill a bit though, so I think it might be better to do something a little bit more custom with this, but that's where we'll put in the car park. Now in terms of other things, I would also like to use the signature building, the little diner. I think that would be kind of cool. So we've obviously got that cafe over this side. I think also having the diner somewhere along the waterfront would be pretty nice indeed. So I'm thinking maybe up this end actually. Somewhere like that, so it offers kind of two buildings on either end. I'm thinking then we'll have a makeshift toilet and shower block or something in the middle, and then obviously we're going to have a ton of beach detailing still to come too. But that's sort of going to be the main formation of the beach. And we're obviously going to want other services in here as well. I'm just looking at hourly budget. We're making 12 grand. Not really too worried about that. So I think we will add in, we're just going to go for small assets for this, but I think we will have a small medical clinic here too, maybe up next to the garage. That might work in there. Let's just have a little look. Oh yeah, this one doesn't have any upgrades, so that's not too much of a problem. Then we've also got police as well, so I'm thinking maybe out by the train station would be nice for the police station. So somewhere, well, it fits on that corner pretty nicely, so I don't think we can deny that. And then let's also have another small firehouse. And this building's a little bit more difficult to sit in with the way it actually looks. It almost looks like a church, but it does sit in pretty nicely in front of the train tracks here. So I think we could incorporate it in like that, and then it sort of sits at the end of that road, which is quite nice. We may move those around a little bit, but at least that gives us our main services down here, plus the elementary school. Now, of course, the train line as well. Let's not forget to add that in. Now, actually, interestingly, when I did add in the integrated passenger train stops into here, that actually gave us our buffers on this end and a sort of change the tracks point here as well. So that's very handy indeed. So we go to the railway line tool. What we're going to do is actually drag this stop. We only need to do one of them. We don't need to have two of them. We're going to move it to there to add in a stop at that point. And then we're going to drag in stops either side here so that it stops in both directions this side. So now they've got an access to and from Few Haven from over here, and also out of the city if they did want to do that, but only in one of those directions, which I think is plenty for now. So yeah, a ton of detailing to do to make up our station here, to rework a lot of this fusing along here to make this seem appropriate. I also want to add in a ton of graffiti, dirt and markings, decals. Sully has, the amazing Sully, has made these tyre mark decals as well, so I think let's use some of those to our advantage. Obviously we need to put in the beach assets, the foliage around here, the car park. I'm probably going to do a little bit of work on this park as well, but we will leave it at that. So it's not going to be a particularly big build today, but this is going to be pretty detail intensive, so hold on to your hats and we'll be right back.
might be the one that truly got me. I feel it too. Might be the one that truly got me. I feel it too. Got me. I feel it too. Might be the one that truly got me. I feel it too. Might be the one that truly got me. I feel it too. Might be the one that truly got me. I feel it too. Got me. I feel it too. Might be the one that truly got me. I feel it too.
Right, so I got literally half the jobs that I wanted to do done because I got way too carried away with the detailing. Like, honestly, this game, we're not even a year into this. I can't even imagine what modding is going to bring to this game in another year's time, or even 2 or 3 years. Like, I'm so super excited for it. This was just so much fun. It just gets better and better all the time, honestly. So anyway, here we have our beach and business first. I have decided to call it Gaudy Bay after one of my MuchCandy Patreons, Gordon Stewart. I know you like the CS2 stuff. I hope you like the start of Gaudy Bay at least. We've still got a lot more of it to fill out here. But thank you so much. If you do want to join Patreon and support, patrons do get some nice little sneaky peek perks. Access to my episode planner to submit ideas, and access to a special Discord community. They are an absolutely fantastic bunch. Thank you all. So there is a link to that in the description below. But here we go. Here is the beach, and also another business thing actually. So the beach has grown from when we first put it in. Now, a little thing with this map, the water sources were actually set higher than we had built the main body of Few Haven. So I could see the waterline, like for instance in our little waterfront park area here, the waterline was creeping up and actually was flooding this path here, and was literally just about to flood our entire industrial area as well. This was like super low, it was about to flood the town centre, and that made me go and check it, and yes, they are higher than this. So it takes that long in the game for the water level to rise to what it is. So what I have done is actually use the water features mod by Yen Yan to actually adjust all of our water spawn points. So it's quite easy to do actually. The mod comes with a feature where you can change the elevation. So you can just click on the existing water points and change the elevation of it. So now, after a lot of studying, it should be at an elevation where this is not going to flood, hopefully. Time will tell. But anyway, the sea level is actually receding, so I had to move all of our spray marks, make it a little bit bigger. Now our wet sand is much further up the beach, but I don't mind that too much. It's a very subtle change there, but there we go. So yeah, little public service announcement. If you're using this map, if you've built where I have on Few Haven, you're going to want to change those because it's all going to be underwater in, well, I think it's taken me several years actually. What is even the date of the game? 2025, so a year in fact, and it may be underwater. There we go. But here we go, we have got our little beachfront here. So we've obviously filled out this cafe on the corner. I'm not actually sure what companies come in. The Ordinator, I'm guessing that's not food. Yeah, electronics. Well, we can imagine it's a cafe restaurant over here. I love how the sand actually spills out into the roads around here. I feel like that's quite realistic. I'm noticing some of my better bulldozing has popped back because I definitely removed that car parking space, but there we go. So yeah, this is all working quite nicely along here. I did decide to actually add in a little just basketball court, nothing around it. I wanted to keep it very kind of open into the sand, so the sand is all spilled onto the court there as well. I've also got just a very small ploppable gym park over here to keep the residents happy. We had no park area otherwise. A couple of little food stands, like I like this one in the middle of the pedestrian path. You can kind of access it from both sides, which I quite like with that. And then this one again, I thought I had removed the signs, but I think every time a new company comes in, some of them respawn, or the building kind of respawns its signs, which is a little bit annoying. I wanted this to act as a kind of toilet block over here. I'm not sure if that comes across, but that's what I was intending. Of course, on the beach, we've got our picnic blankets, deck chairs, tennis umpire stands to act as lifeguard houses. They're going to be very burnt. I decided not to put parasols out here actually, because I don't think it's a super warm climate. And I kind of thought it would spoil the dynamic of the beach. I think people can bring their own if they want to. We've also got these little sheds here as well, which signify the area where the workers can kind of pack up the deck chairs at the end of the day and put them into the little huts. That's what I was thinking with that. And then of course the diner up this end. But yeah, this town, I love it. I literally love it. This wall asset is also one of my favourites now as well. But yeah, we've got a ton of graffiti everywhere, lots of kind of stain marks, lots and lots of billboards and signage. So I feel like this feels quite alive here. I wanted to go for this sort of trendy, arty, studenty style district, which is leading me on to think maybe we put the college somewhere near here as well. That's what I'm thinking. But yeah, studenty style district, lots of young people, lots of trendy things. Like the graffiti's almost art as opposed to destruction is really what I was trying to go for. Like things like this wall over here, a bit more of a memorial. We've got things like huge billboards in lots of different places, like this one on the top of the building here. I love it. All the walls are kind of covered in graffiti, really, wherever you look, particularly along the little back alleys. Again, like, better Bulldozer. Things are definitely happening. As soon as that asset changes, stuff comes back. It's quite annoying, but I'll keep going around and trimming things back as I find them, so that is what it is. We also have like this little back alley here where we've got a few benches and a couple of homeless shelters here, which I thought would be kind of a good place for them just off the main high street. Sort of hidden away from it as well, so you can't actually see them from out here. You can obviously see all the graffiti and the dirt and things, but that's the effect that we're going for there. So yeah, really, really pleased with it. This is literally my favourite build that I've done so far in CS2. There's not that many builds yet, but I'm enjoying it very much. I've also used one of the trampoles actually here to act as bollards. I really need a proper bollard in this game, so that worked nicely using extra detailing tools to lower the elevation of it into the ground. We've obviously got our street side cafe bar on the corner here as well, and another pedestrian alley going through there. It all kind of works together pretty nicely. I did this little junkyard area to fill out this corner as well as you come into the main town. You probably need to do a bit of trimming back on parking on this main road because that is yeah, it's pretty busy. But there we go, and then I filled out the rest of this with some more row housing, some condos, did a little bit of kind of back street detailing. Was that more over here? Yeah, some extra car parks in the back here. Also around this side as well, car park in the middle there, but nothing too fancy. Obviously, I did not have time to come on to the train station, which is working lovely. And by the way, they actually stand on the platform. I got very excited about this because I was thinking, I know that you can kind of add makeshift platforms before we had road builder mods, but the Sims actually sunk right into them. So yeah, the fact that we're going to be able to build a custom station over this with Sims actually standing on the platform is making me a very, very happy girl indeed. But there we go. So we'll come onto the station next time also, as well as, you know, working our way up this hill and back into this neighbourhood. Just with all the detailing tools, I got incredibly carried away with this, as you can probably tell. But it was fun. I hope it was worth it. I hope you enjoyed it. But yeah, there we go. We have got our little Gaudy Bay main commercial strip going onto the beach, and I'm loving this separation as well. I also like the benefit of being able to put in those smaller pedestrian streets a little bit narrower than they have been previously. Hugely beneficial, because actually having the wider one here would make this such a big kind of waterfront road that it would be a little bit too much. Oh yeah, I also added in some lines for the car parking bays here, which I'm very much enjoying. I need to use those lines a little bit more. I think that was, I say pretty much it, but this has literally taken me hours, which is why I haven't found the time, unfortunately, to come onto these other areas, including the park up here as well, the viewpoint, lots of things to do around Gaudy Bay. But that's the start of it. And if we just take a little look at the elementary school before we go, that is already full. This one actually is only almost full, so there's still a few elementary places left, but we're definitely going to need to increase capacity as well as more high school capacity as well. We're really on the line with that. So yeah, I think a big education episode, probably putting in the college as well, is going to be needed soon. Our population's ramping up a bit. We're still making 12 grand an hour, even with all these additional services in. I think having these low income houses massively help the money. So when the game first came out, they always used to abandon, but now actually they're probably the most successful housing that I have in the game. Actually, I was just saying, some of these people are comfortable, wealthy even over here, modest. So something's going well to give ourselves some disposable income in our households, which is good. That's really the first time I've kind of noticed that in this game. So I'm pleased with that. We do also desperately, as I've mentioned, need new electricity because we're really cutting it fine there. We have still got 10 megawatts left, but it's starting to be a little bit fine on that front. So a power plant is going to be needed, like I mentioned last time. So that's going to happen. We also want to bring the bus lines down here too. But we need to figure out probably what's going in this big space. Obviously the passenger harbour out here, but this big space still to kind of determine and build out, and then we'll bring in the buses once we know all of that road network. But there we go. That is today's episode. If you have enjoyed it, likes, comments and shares are really greatly appreciated. Let me know what it is you'd like to see next. Do you want to see the college build, the education episode? Do you want to see some hillside housing, some park builds? What would you like to see? Let me know in the comments below. But that is all from me for now, so thank you so much for tuning in. While you wait for new content, check out one of the videos on screen, and I'll be back very soon. Bye bye!